Here are the 7 2024 garden trends I'm predicting. Now, you can get on board with these because you want to be up to date and trending, or some of these you may not get on board with, and I'll tell you which ones you should or should not get on board with based on what I'm seeing it kind of unfold as per right now. The first one being food gardens. Less emphasis on decorative gardens from flowers to perennials and florals, and more emphasis on food. Whether this be in a permaculture setting where the perennials and the annuals in conjunction are providing food, or from an annual perspective where we're seed starting or purchasing seed starts that are going to produce food, I see food as the garden trend, even in container settings. Meaning, if we have flowers, I would expect the greenery to be a herb or some form of edible greenery. Number 2 is front lawn conversions. We are seeing this more and more and more, where we're going away from monoculture and into the world of diversity in the space of gardens. So this could be perennial, this could be rock, this could be flower, this could be food. Regardless, I don't see classic lawns surviving for a number of different reasons, which brings me into third 2024 trend, which is alternative lawns. So these two kind of coincide with each other. The conversion of lawn to garden and the classic lawn disappearing to more of a heterogeneous mixture rather than a monocrop. The reason for this is because people are realizing that A, they're busy, so just a classic lawn mowing, watering, weeding is a lot of work. Secondly, people are more interested in introducing pollinators and low maintenance lawns in the form of clovers or thymes, whatever the case is. The third being that people see the benefit of diversity, both for macro and microfauna in and around your yard, along with the benefits that it plays and the roles it plays with the soil. So I do see the removal of just your classic Kentucky bluegrass blend to more alternative forms. And this actually is interesting because my alternative lawn video I did on clover, I did white Dutch clover specific video, that performed very well last year because a lot of people I think were starting to convert. So I think that that will be the future, and the more people that convert to white clover, the more non-gardeners will view it as a trend and then switch that direction anyways, because that's what the neighbor's doing. So I do see that carrying on into the future. The next one, number 4, is more animals. Now, this sounds bizarre, but I'm slowly seeing a trend upwards in this. And I personally would love to capitalize on this trend if I was allowed to in my city. But I'm not allowed to in my city because my city is anti all things living in the animal world. But the utilization of anything from quail to chickens to rabbits to help with A, manure, so composted manure for fertilizer, B, for just a form of composting in the example of weeds or trimmings from plants or excess produce, just the utilization of the animal for composting over hot compost or just a classic compost. I see animals playing a big role in that. The next one is in pest control. So if we're utilizing quail or chickens or anything like that for slugs or snails or grasshoppers, whatever the case is, using them as a biological control on those plants or those areas of our garden. So I see animals being more heavily incorporated in cities that allow it and in the influencer world. So a lot of influencers are homesteaders or they have larger plots of land. I can see them utilizing animals in different ways and doing more videos on how to utilize animals in different ways. So again, rabbits, chickens, quails being like the big 3. And then if you had the space or the room, you'd kind of get into the upper levels of maybe a dairy cow or whatever the case is. The next one is less exotics and more conventionals. Now the reason for that is because the exotic seeds and plants cost more money. And they don't just cost more money in the sense of purchasing the physical seed or purchasing the physical plant. They cost more money in regards to care. So lighting, if we're starting them indoors, or potential greenhouse setups, the space that they would take up over and above a more conventional garden. I think that this trend is actually dying. And the reason for that is because I think people are going to go to the conventional route because of the cost of groceries and just the cost of time and all that sort of stuff. People are going back into offices more and more. People are starting to, their mortgages cost more money. Their time is money. And so investing more time into exotic tomatoes or pumpkins or cool flowers or eucalyptus, whatever the case is, it doesn't make sense. And so I do think that that is going to trend downward, and we're going to get more into the conventional, what my grandma grew and why I'm growing it type vibe, which is totally fine. It kind of breaks my heart a little bit because I personally really liked the kind of pre-COVID era where we were introducing new varieties of pumpkins, new varieties of tomatoes, like different forms of domestication that are being brought to the consumer market. I love that. Despite all the cost and intensity that goes along with that world, I'm sad to see it go, but I understand why it's leaving us because obviously time is money. And those exotic veggies that no one's grown before sometimes take a lot of time. The last one is functional containers. So this kind of plays into a few of the points that I made, but namely that if there's a decorative container with a thriller, a filler, and a spiller, we can almost guarantee that either the filler or the spiller for sure, maybe the thriller will be edible or functional in some way, meaning it will be like a citronella to keep mosquitoes at bay, or it will be a herb to be utilized when we go to have our meal, or it will have some sort of function to it. And the reason for that is because cut down on grocery costs, and people are starting to realize that gardening isn't necessarily decorative and pretty. It can be for helpfulness, whether that be medicinal or being a herbalist or preserving or whatever the case is. So I do think functional containers are going to become very, very real. Of course, we're going to have our really pretty flowers or our unique displays, but I could see more incorporation of different varieties of thyme, for example, whether that be variegated varieties that kind of make it look a little bit different, but ultimately are functional for our health or for our cooking, whatever the case is. So that is my last one for 2024 trends. If you guys have any 2024 trends you see happening, please comment them down below, and I will talk to you guys next time. Bye. I'm gonna take these off. My normal, if you see me in public, is wearing glasses because I need them to see, and I actually film completely blind. Fun fact.